No building damage can be seen in this image. The merchandise stall is completely intact. Other images taken also show that windows were not shattered by the blast. This image does not show convincing evidence of an injury or death. Although a firm conclusion cannot be drawn from these images alone about whether the victims pictured are real or staged, the images are consistent with a drill or an exercise. Now, the public inquiry did produce photographs showing building damage, for example, to the blue and white doors seen in these pictures. However, none of that damage can be seen in these images, which were taken much earlier than the crime scene images produced at the inquiry. For comparison, here's a picture of the Omar bomb, which killed a similar number of people. An expert witness at the public inquiry testified that the type of explosive used in the explosive device was TATP, triacetone triperoxide.
Yes, that video gave instructions to manufacture TATP, which was the explosive used at the Manchester Arena.
Let's have a look at a TATP explosion.
Just in front of the orange water balloon is 0.5 grams of TATP, or about 1/60th of an ounce. It's about the size of a sugar packet. We're going to detonate it with current from a 9-volt battery. The water balloon is just to illustrate the effect. Let's look at the first frame, about 1/100th of a second after the detonation. You can see the shockwave has already hit the camera, maybe 10 feet away, and that's why the picture is blurry. The rubber balloon has been blown away, but the water, which has much more inertia, is still in place. And there is no flame. TATP is what's called an entropic explosive. It works by creating a huge quantity of gas very quickly. What little energy there is, it goes into creating the shockwave.
No light is given off in a TAT explosion, no flash, no smoke, and no heat. The explosion is only blast. There would be no flash of light and there would be no smoke or heat. Let's now see how witnesses actually described the blast.
And then massive flash of light, and I mean it was like, sheet lightning. It was like that, filled the whole room.
And the heat was just unbelievable.
I just remember feeling really hot. All of a sudden, I was really, really hot and felt loads of heat.
This warm gush of air hit me, and I remember that it just felt really warm.
You describe an orange flash directly followed by a loud bang and a feeling of weight and pressure and heat. Is that accurate?
Yes, I think the bang came first. I could only see orange in my field of sight, so it felt like a flash.
Crack bang and a flash, and of course the impact, the energy gave you a knock, and smoke, like a pinky smoke.
And I would describe it, and if you've seen the film Backdraft, but it was a big white flash.
The first thing I remember was a bright flash, really bright.
Bang, the loudest I've ever heard in a flash.
Flash, the brightest flash I've ever seen in my life.
Orange flash, like a photo would give off, a bit like a firework kind of colour.
A wash of orange light surrounding the room.
Flames rolled.
Thick black smoke.
My initial thought was that it was a thunder flash, which is a pyrotechnic device used in the army to simulate explosions.
We have here 14 independent witnesses who all describe something which is wholly inconsistent with the TATP explosive device.
You saw the windscreen come out. There are sharp edges and sharp hooks. All TATP is homemade. A homemade explosive of the nature of TATP is exceptionally dangerous. It is a sensitive primary high explosive. That means that it will detonate if it is faced with friction, with heat or with impact. So it doesn't need any additional circuitry, it doesn't need any wiring, it doesn't need a battery. If you hit it with a hammer, if you scuff it with your boot, you run the risk of it detonating, and that makes it extremely dangerous. The workload the last couple of weeks, particularly because of the chemicals and the pollutants they use, been heavy. It's not normally our team dealing with the likes of petrol bombs that normally come under that department.
This even isn't on media. I think that the people of Hong Kong think.
And why were the fire brigade not alerted to the strange fumes that were being produced by something in the city room for 2.5 hours? These fumes are not from the explosive device because the device was nowhere near this location. The fumes are being produced from at least 2247 to at least 0055. That's over 2 hours and 8 minutes. Nobody seems to be paying attention to any of these mystery fumes. Using the images of the city room after the bang, I have created 2 mosaics to give a clearer view of the city room after the device was set off. There are no pools of blood, and there are no dead bodies. There appears to be a red and a white object at the bottom of the stairs. Are the fumes coming from these objects? Is the red object a medical bag? What on earth could be producing fumes like this for over 2 hours? Now, the fumes look to me more like steam. Could the red object be a steam cleaner which has been left running? Something like this. I'm not sure about this, so please get in touch if you have any ideas. Some viewers may still be wondering what I consider may have happened at the arena. Firstly, there is no reliable evidence of a death or a serious injury occurring at the arena. I suspect the organisers of this event used a pyrotechnic or similar dummy explosive device to create a loud bang, a bright flash with smoke, etc., but which was essentially harmless. I suspect many of the minor injuries were staged, but that those who were reported as being seriously injured were in fact recruited shortly before the concert to pretend they had attended, but did not attend on the night because they were already seriously injured on a previous date. The following comments are speculative and pure opinion, but from earlier evidence in this and previous films, it seems unlikely to me that the Hibberts attended the concert, and if so, must have received their injuries in an earlier scenario. Could the following provide a possible alternative explanation? This website describes paralysis with close links to car accidents, and number 2 on the list is hemiplegia. Hemiplegia involves paralysis of one side of the body. If you suffer a traumatic brain injury to one side of your brain during a crash, you may lose control over the opposite side of your body. Hemiplegia seems consistent with Eve's alleged injury, i.e. a brain injury on one side, the right, causing the loss of use on the opposite side of the body, the left, of one arm and one leg. I have no evidence that they were in a car accident, and I am not claiming that they were. But a car accident is probably the most common scenario when a father and daughter might get injured at the same time. As we've said, we think there are a number of genuine injuries, but I don't see any evidence that any of the real injuries occurred at the arena. So that then leads you to ask the question, well, how did they recruit these people? And all I can think of is that they've had spooks in casualty departments in the week before the event looking for likely candidates and then just drawing them into the narrative.
Potentially, yeah.
Because I don't think well, there is no photograph of a real injury which shows genuine flesh wound or a hole or what have you at the arena.
We'd booked to go to one of our favourite restaurants in Manchester, San Carlo, and like I said in my statement, it was just a typical brilliant Manchester day. You know, the sun was shining, it was a beautiful day. Eve had got me ready for the concert, constantly playing the CDs, and so I was fully ready for it. And going to concerts is something that we did. It was daddy and daughter time, and we loved it, you know. So it was just another of those, you know, wonderful daddy and daughter times. We parked at the arena. I had VIP tickets. We're in a box.
Just remind me of her age. I'm really sorry.
She was 14 at the time.
Thank you.
She was 14 at the time. So we'd parked at the VIP parking under the arena, and we walked to San Carlo. Had a lovely meal. And I remember. I think I put it in my statement. I remember looking across, and she looked beautiful. And I remember saying to Eve, like, you know, this is when I'm going to be getting knocks at the door, because she looked stunning. And I remember thinking to myself, which is why I took that infamous picture, because I never used to share kind of Eve on social media, but I just looked at her and I could see that she was becoming a woman.
Yeah.
And I knew I'd be getting knocks at the door, and I wanted to embrace it and in a way celebrate it, if that's the right word. And that's kind of why I took that picture of us, which is obviously the infamous picture of us at San Carlo raising a glass, because I knew that probably after that night that she'd be taking her exams and you know, my little princess.
Martin Hibbert alleges that the photograph was taken shortly before the concert, and it features him and his daughter sitting at a restaurant table. In his inquiry interview, he states twice that he took this picture. This is untrue. The picture has been taken by a third party who is not mentioned at the inquiry. Hibbert mentions being at San Carlo restaurant 3 times, which suggests a strong need to persuade that he was there on that night. Eve appears to have a modern mobile phone in her possession, which of course would include a digital camera. Do they look dressed for a pop concert? This Twitter post shows that the image was posted on Twitter on the 22nd of May 17 at 6:53 p.m. Hibbert posted the image again 4 years later, and this time felt the need to state the exact time the photograph was taken. Picture taken at 6:46 p.m. on the 22nd of May 2017 in San Carlo. The date and time that he gives is not proof of when the photograph was actually taken. It is unknown to me on what date it was taken. But because of when it was posted on Twitter, we can say for sure that it was taken on the 22nd of May 2017 or on an earlier date. I suspect, and have been trying to get this corroborated with indisputable evidence from the restaurant, that it may have been taken on a date previous to the night of the bombing and uploaded to Twitter at a time just before the concert to coincide with the time he claims it was taken. As we shall see, he has used the Twitter post to claim that the photograph is why everybody knew they were at the concert. The restaurant is over half a mile from the Manchester Arena, and I am not aware of any photographic evidence which places them at the actual arena that night. Let's now look at how the inquiry described him getting to the arena.
And Mr. Hibbert, we know that you've seen then the sequence of events that shows the time that you and Eve entered the arena, and your parking and VIP package meant that you avoided the crowds.
Correct.
And we see you entering the arena at 8:03.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, no CCTV time-stamped image was shown at the inquiry to prove what Sophie Cartwright said, i.e. that Martin and Eve Hibbert entered the arena at 8:03. The VIP entrance is within the city room, and I have checked the CCTV images released by the inquiry and cannot find one at 8:03 of the city room. There are images that have been released by the inquiry showing other alleged victims arriving. For example, here we see Jane Tweddle, who is alleged to have died, arriving in this image, and we see Ruth Morel and Michelle Kiss waiting in this image. Michelle Kiss is also alleged to have died. But to my knowledge, there is no CCTV image of Martin or Eve Hibbert at the Manchester Arena that has been released. Later in the interview, another CCTV image is referred to.
So, Mr. Hibbert, we're going to move forward now to, as you made your way out of the concert bowl and the route you took, we know that you found your way taking the route into the city room. And you have also been shown the image of you and Eve timed at 22:30:53, where you're captured in the city room.
Yeah. Again, this alleged image, to my knowledge, was not shown at the inquiry and does not appear to be in the CCTV images released by the inquiry.
He thinks that I'm an actor, we're both actors, that we weren't there on the night, that I've not got a spinal cord injury or that we got our injuries. I think he thinks that we're in a car crash or something like that.
I've never said that they do not have injuries. In my film, which covers the injuries, which you can find here, I state clearly that I have no evidence that they were in a car crash, and I did not make that claim. I made a hypothesis about a car accident.
Mr. Hibbert, we know that you've seen then the sequence of events that shows the time that you and Eve entered the arena, and your parking and VIP package meant that you avoided the crowds.
Correct.
And we see you entering the arena at 8:03. So, Mr. Hibbert, we're going to move forward now to, as you made your way out of the concert bowl and the route you took, we know that you found your way taking the route into the city room. And you have also been shown the image of you and Eve timed at 22:30:53, where you're captured in the city room.
Yeah.
These were his injuries here now.
Mm-hmm.
Shrapnel going straight through his left bicep, leaving a golf ball-sized hole and a metal nut hitting his neck, severing his jugular vein and partially rupturing his carotid artery, causing severe blood loss.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and yet he lived.
Hey, here we go, another bicep injury.
There was a lot of blood coming from my left arm and quite a lot of blood coming from my neck to the point where, you know, it was kind of gathering in a pool. I think I knew at that point that I was dying because I was starting to shiver. And then I remember a gentleman stood at my side and he was instructed to put a pad on my neck, and it just all goes white then, and then I kind of pass out.
Because, as we've said, we think there are a number of genuine injuries, but I don't see any evidence that any of the real injuries occurred at the arena.
But when I was in the High Court last week with my friend had to grab my arm because I was shaking, because I had to listen to him for an hour and a half, you know, talk the drivel.
I did not speak for an hour and a half. I spoke for about 45 minutes. I will give details of that later.
One, he didn't think that we were related, so he didn't think that Eve was my daughter. I had to...
So what he was trying to get what he claimed was evidence.
But the worst part of it all is that Kerry had to ring me one day and say, look, we need Eve's birth certificate. I was like, what for? Like identification? He went, no, he's saying that you're not related. That was the worst moment for me. I had to send my birth certificate into the courts to prove that I was her father. And I'll never forgive him for that.
This is just legal protocol. You can ask for proof of any part of a legal claim being made against you. But this point about being father and daughter has been now agreed by both parties.
People don't see what happens behind closed doors, you know, the tears and the tantrums, the frustrations, and we've had to deal with that for 5 years, as well as living with a spinal cord injury and all the setbacks. I was in hospital 3 weeks ago for 5 days. You know, and I'm not, you know, I'm only probably 75% fit, you know, and there's all the stuff that comes with that. You know, Eve's currently unwell. People don't see that because you don't put that on social media.
In my years of investigation, I did not find any evidence to show that a real bomb was used. But I did find video and photographic evidence which shows beyond doubt that there was no bomb.
Everything that we've put up with for the 5 years happened and that it was harassment, you know, we have won solidly, you know. So, you know, I'm very proud, and I can't wait to get home and see Eve tomorrow because she's going to get a massive hug. But it has been tough.
I remember leaving, and Safi had got my hand.
Yeah, she has a long pause here. So the question is she remembering or is she considering her words? Notice she was not holding Safi's hand, but Safi had got her hand. Again, you put yourself into the mind of the subject. Is she holding the hand properly or is she just grabbing it?
This hand, and she was pulling, jumping about.
Hand is repeated here, so it's there is some sensitivity. She was pulling, jumping about. She sounds like she's being a little bit of a nightmare.
Right, and we know that Lisa Roussos' other hand, the right hand, has an injury,
yes.
Right? I'm not convinced that was from the night. I suspect that may have been an accident which involved Safi and involved the mother's right hand before the night, because she does have a genuine injury on that right hand. I'm not convinced with her injuries to her legs. So she's holding her other hand out when she's saying that Safi had this hand. I wonder if she doesn't like to show that hand, perhaps.
Well, I think...
Why would you hold out and say, well, it was this hand?
I think she's saying it's this hand because it couldn't have been this hand because this one's injured.
Right.
So she had to have had this hand. It was this one.
Right, I see.
I think that might be the...
right, even though Safi was allegedly killed, you know, her hand could have been injured while Safi was killed as well, you know, but... to me, she's sensitive about her other hand, her injured hand.
Yeah, and it's there in the language. She's repeated it, so yes.
Right.
My arm was outstretched, holding her hand as she was pulling me.
Okay, my arm, not... Well, she needs to tell us that her arm was outstretched. Is this necessary? Holding her hand, again, hand is repeated. It's very sensitive, but this is Safi's hand. My arm was outstretched, holding her hand. Was she not holding a hand? It was her arm that was outstretched. She doesn't commit with the pronoun I to... It's almost like her arm is a separate entity here. My arm was outstretched, holding her hand as she was pulling me. Pulling is sensitive. It's repeated.
If there was an accident prior to the concert, maybe it involved her having her arm pulled or a hand pulled.
Possibly. There is a lot of sensitivity to it. But there's also something very interesting in the language here. It's the linguistic disposition that Lisa has towards Safi. That is how a person views another person, what their opinion is, and it comes out in language. It's not fantastic. If we can see what she said. Safi had got my hand, this hand, and she was pulling, jumping about. My arm was outstretched, holding her hand as she was pulling me. If this was the last sort of moments with your child, would you not be, she had my hand, cherishing that almost, thinking back to that moment and thinking I had physical contact with my child? It sounds like Safi's a problem. She was pulling, jumping about. My arm was outstretched, holding her hand, and she was pulling me.
Right.
It's not a good...
So you think there's an element of blame there?
There appears to be. Well, I think it looks like blame. It doesn't... It's not positive. I can tell you that much. Is that it's not a positive linguistic disposition. So in context, it's at the best neutral. It's it could be a guilt projection. It might be that she feels guilty, but it's Safi's fault.
Right.
And the next minute, I just hit the floor with a thud.
A thud?
With a thud, yes. Unnecessary to say that. And the next minute, sorry, I should go back to that. And the next minute is a temporal lacunae. Again, it's jumping over time, which is when the bang occurred. It might not be critical, but she's moving forward to when she hit the floor. So she's missing out. Her mind's skipping forward to hitting the floor with a thud. Just she uses, it's a dependent word, means she's thinking of something else other than just hitting the floor.
Right. Like taking part in an exercise, maybe.
I just remember lying there and trying to move.
Yes, just again the dependent word, meaning she's thinking of something else. Lying there is body posture. Body posture in a statement indicates an increase in tension for the subject at that point. So there's tension here.
I was just paralysed. I couldn't move a finger. I couldn't move at all.
Yeah, she self-edits here. She changes I think she was going to say something with physically.
Yeah.
But she changes her mind to say paralysed. I couldn't even move a finger.
Yeah, that finger, we know that her hand and finger has a real injury. So I think maybe that's why finger's coming in there.
It could be, yes. Yeah.
And I could blink. I just kept thinking to myself, just keep your eyes open. And when somebody finally spoke to me and started moving me, they asked me my name.
Yeah, okay, someone is one person, singular, but we don't know if it's a man or a woman. Someone finally, she thinks about what she says before spoke to me and started. They asked me my name. She is not revealing the gender here, and I don't understand why. Well, she would say he spoke to me, she spoke to me, they moved me, meaning two people, but it's a singular someone. So she is...
So could it be that didn't happen and that would be the reason for concealing that?
Yes, yeah.
Right.
And I just said, Safi. That's all I could get out. I wanted to say, we just go and find Safi.
What about Lisa?
Yeah, she had another daughter.
Yeah. But she's all right. She's okay. She's rolling over on the floor. Yeah, will you just go and find Safi? Just, again, is repeated, so I did wonder at this point whether it was just a habit of speech. I think I've just said it a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, you know, she should be concerned for both her daughters at this point.
Then I must have gone again.
Again, when was she gone before this time? There's no other reference to this, so this might be edited, but I don't think it was at this point.
Right.
It says she's implying that she was unconscious again, but she hasn't said that she was the first time round. So there's something wrong here.
Because the next time I remember them cutting my jeans off.
And she shows high sensitivity to it because she needs to explain why she must have gone again. The next time I remember them cutting my jeans off.
And that was the last thing I remembered until I woke up. How many weeks later?
6 weeks.
6 weeks later.
That is distancing. I remembered until I woke up. How many weeks later?
So obviously I went with my friend Millie. We obviously had a great time at the concert. We were sat quite far back on the upper tier, and as the last song finished, just as it finished, we left because we were on the N2 seats and we thought if we leave then everyone else can get out quicker. And we wanted to avoid the rush of everyone trying to get out. So we left quite quickly and we were planning to go through the foyer down to the train station and around the side of the building. But obviously as we entered the foyer, we were about 4 or 5 steps in. And unfortunately, obviously the bomb went off and me and Millie fell on the floor. And I remember feeling like a lot of warm, like heat. My first thought was I was on fire or something had happened like that. And then I started looking around trying to find Millie, and I could see she had gotten up to run back inside the arena. So I thought, well, I'm not staying here on my own, like I'm not. So I got up and followed her. And I remember looking down on my legs and seeing all these holes in my jeans and like touching them and then looking at my hands and they were full of blood. And I remember running back inside and sitting on the steps that you walk up to the seats with Millie and just being like, something bad has happened, I'm going to die. Like, I remember my vision being blurry and I couldn't see and I kept like going in and out of like consciousness, I guess. And I just thought, this is it, like I'm going to die. And I remember obviously scaring her because she wasn't as injured as me. Her consciousness was fine, like she was fine. She remembered a lot of it. So I remember being like, I'm sorry, like I'm going to die.
We're going to talk about the Moan sisters. And we've pointed out in the past that they were at the concert because they are seen coming down the steps where one sister is holding the other sister by the wrist because she's had an injury to her finger. But strangely, there's no blood at all coming from this finger, and it doesn't appear to have been wrapped up. There wouldn't have been enough time to wrap it up. And ITV put out a very deceptive image alleging to be of the Moan's sister that was injured. We've discovered that this is not Hannah Moan, that they're making out has got this red blur on her, right? They're actually further up the steps, and there's no
You can see them in the background.
Yeah, you can see them in the background. But if you forward the video, you see that there's no blood coming from her finger. And that has led me to believe that this injury, it is a genuine injury because the finger's clearly not there.
Yeah.
But I suspect the injury was received some days beforehand, and they've been used in this operation. So we know they were in the foyer.
Yes.
So tell us about their language, Jen.
So Hannah says, I don't know what happened to me, but I was on the floor and it felt like a blackout. You grabbed my hand, screaming, saying, run, we need to go. And we started to run. Only then I realised that I was injured. Only is a dependent word. It works when you're thinking of something else. And we've got the element of time here with then, which is comparing this time period with something else. She is preempting a time of claiming that she noticed her injury. She then moves on to, her sister asks her, so you don't remember turning round to me as you got up, screaming, Jess, help me, my hand, my hand. She says, no, I don't remember that at all. Now, so what she's saying here is that she must have noticed her injury, or her sister's claiming that you noticed your injury, you saw your hand, she got up, she ran, and then she realised her hand was injured. I just don't think that's very plausible that it would take 15 seconds to forget that she'd blown half her fingers off.
Right.
Do you think that's plausible?
No, I don't believe that. So a sister is contradicting the narrative, you think?
Yes, yeah. It's in the language, she's saying only then. She's claiming that she only realised the hand was injured once she was running. But her sister's saying, well, you said, Jess, help me my hand. And she said, no, I don't remember that.
Right.
But I don't see how you could forget that in a matter of seconds.
The other thing that strikes me about these sisters is I've looked at their Facebook profile and they don't strike me as Ariana fan type people. They might be, but just an observation. And the other observation I made was that I found out where they live, and they do have a very large hedge and a tree in their garden as well. So maybe she was cutting the hedge and did it with a hedge trimmer. Who knows?
She does speak about her injuries in this interview, and the way she describes them is quite reliable, in the respect that she does have these injuries. It's not that she's. But what's interesting is she says, I got hit with, they said, shrapnel, so I got hit with shrapnel.
Right. Okay. With they said shrapnel.
Yes, right. They said shrapnel.
Right.
As
So
if she didn't.
So she's not making that. She's not committing to it then.
She's not committing to that. No. She's saying, so I got hit with shrapnel because they said shrapnel.
Right.
I got hit with, they said shrapnel, so I got hit with shrapnel on my little finger, right in the middle. It took a chunk out, and there was only a few bones left on one side. And then I got a broken finger here, up here, and then I had to get a skin graft because whatever had hit my little finger had sliced off skin on my broken finger. I got a deep cut, which doesn't really look like a deep cut now, but it's only, just starting to turn back into my normal skin. I got a deep cut on my arm, and then I got hit in the bottom, I'm going to say, which the shrapnel was actually in my jumper and ripped through my jeans. So I got hit there, and that was all the injuries I